Welcome to EPG Pathshala. We are going to discuss today the module Religion and Politics. This module is written by Ajay Kumar Verma of Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. I am Raghuram Raju from University of Hyderabad. Religion and politics are very important aspects that constitutes human existence. The relation between religion and politics is very complex, and it bothered people, preoccupied the attention of human beings since antiquity. And this is a very important aspect of human existence. One way of tracing the complexity of the relation between religion and politics is to take for close examination the Greek play, the famous Greek play Antigone by Sophocles. In this play, the relation is posited in a very, very sharp way. The main protagonist in the play, as you all know, is Antigone, who is the daughter of the king Creon. Antigone is torn between her religious duty to offer last rites to his brother who died fighting a battle against the state, and her duty towards the state, which does not allow burial to anybody charged with treason. So in this play, the king Creon represents the view that if the realm of the religious conflicts with the political, then the latter should prevail, namely the political should prevail. Antigone, on the other hand, stands for the view that in the state of conflict between religion and politics, it is always one's personal sense of religion that should hold the sway. So now you have two important almost paradigms where you have one side taking the view that you should give importance to politics if it conflicts with religion. The other view, which argues that you should give importance to personal religion when it conflicts with the politics, which is the public domain. What makes the play really interesting is the way Sophocles, the author of the play, juxtaposes religious duty of an ethical agent with her duty towards the state. So there is often a need to balance between these two spheres of life against each other. Summarizing this a larger theme, there is one way which takes the stand that if there is a conflict between religion and politics, one should side with religion and not with politics. The other way takes the exactly opposite view, where it argues that you must take sides with the politics and not with religion. Now, if in normal course of the time, when there is a mutual exclusion of a binary between these two important relations, there are bound to be instances where there will be compromises. The compromises can be either taking partial side with this view, partial side with the other view, or saying that depending upon the context, there is a possibility of looking at religion as important or politics as important. That's the larger scene that I want to lay bare before you today. Now, in a secular democratic setup like India, with a variety of ethnicities, this problem becomes a very important and a complex, in sometimes very, very difficult problem, where the religion comes in conflict with politics. And this is a serious problem even within one society, as we have seen in the case of Sophocles' play Antigone. Imagine a case where there are, you don't have to imagine that if you look at the society like India, which has diversity, which has pluralism, and several cultures, ethnic communities live in coexistence with other within a larger nation state. Now the problem becomes much more serious, and that needs our attention to understand this relation better. Philosophers through the time have offered variety of opinions on the issue. We have a brief synopsis of the views of those different ideas in the present module. We'll select only some of them for a discussion. Before we start our discussion on the relation between religion and politics, it is imperative upon us to have a clear conceptual understanding of what we mean by religion. Religion is a set of beliefs related to broad spectrum of human existence. They range from what actions we should perform to what is the origin of this universe. How does this universe come into existence? Is there a creator, or was it there without a creator? Now and then, what is the purpose of life, and how do I relate myself with other people, and how do I relate myself with the transcendental entities like God? So there are a lot of things that gets covered within religion. There is an ethical domain, there is a religious domain, there is a soteriological domain, there is a transcendental domain, there is a social domain, and several others get closely imbricated in religion. But the point is that religion is the one which presents a larger worldview to people, by the time they are born. Many things about what a human being has to do is already decided by religions. So that is a one thing which is a facility. In some respects, it is also a liability. Okay, so all these things that are already available to human being, they get presented in scriptures, and scriptures are generally traced to a creator. So religion has a creator, or it has a sage, or a guru, okay, and then there are scriptures, and scriptures are not necessarily given by the human being, however divine that person is. Generally they are traced to the divine existence, okay, but the interpreting of the scriptures is in the hands of the people who are the messengers of God. So there are also transpersonal, in the sense that these beliefs are often shared by a large number of individuals, and more importantly, subject matter of these beliefs, like origin, as I mentioned, sustenance and destruction of the universe, are covered by religion. Now, let us now look at what is covered by politics. Politics is largely about social institutions, political institutions, public domains, and also individuals, particularly the individual interest and freedom and liberty. So there is this individual and the collectivity, private and public, institutions and individual preferences, and the way in which the individual is related to the public, and the terms in which of how public has to respond, facilitate, or discipline the individual gets covered in the public domain of the politics. So you have two important domains. One is the religious domain, and the other one is the political domain. So in the classical time, there was this close relation between religion and politics. Mostly politics was subservient to religion in the medieval period, though this cannot be said about the Greek time. In Greek time, politics prevailed over all other spheres, including the religious sphere. But with the advent of modernity, in the post-Enlightenment time, there was a serious rethinking about the relation between religion and politics. Enlightenment thinkers rejected the dominance of religion over politics. They said that the political domain is an autonomous domain and should have nothing to do with the religious domain in a substantial manner. So we will come to that claim and a serious revision of that claim in the following discussion. So the 18th century Enlightenment movement witnessed a strong resistance from the general masses against the church claiming authority over individuals' personal, social and political spheres. This movement culminated in excluding the authority of church from other spheres like ethical domain, political domain and things like that. This divorce between religion and politics also resulted in a deluge of new ideas on how religion and politics should be negotiated in a state. One of the important views in this regard comes from John Locke, who maintained that the matter of religion are matters of personal faith, and therefore for that reason should be left to the discretion of the individuals. So if there are personal, and it should be left to the personal choice of an individual. The state should not interfere with these set of ideas or beliefs. He further believed that the state should allow and promote multiplicity and range of opinions on the matters pertaining to personal faith. So each one can have different faith, not the faith that is decided by an organized church, but they can have a wide range of different varieties of faiths. So he left the faith not in the hands of church, but in the hands of each individual. Locke defines a state as a commonwealth which is constituted by society of man, constituted only for the procuring, preserving and advancing their own civil interest. It needs to be pointed out here that he does not spell out religion or spirituality as one of the primary human interests, which mainly includes, according to him, self-preservation, liberty and private property. At the same time, Locke defines religion as a voluntary society of men joining themselves together of their own accord in order to the public worshipping of God in such a manner as they judge acceptable to him and effectual to the salvation of their soul. So this is the most important thing. So what Locke is doing is he is relegating the religion to a personal domain. Okay. Locke maintains that religion is a subject of toleration so as far as it does not pose any serious threat to the civil interest. Further, delineating the jurisdiction of the church and state, Locke states whatsoever is lawful in the commonwealth cannot be prohibited by the magistrate in the church. But he points out an important caveat here. But he puts an important caveat here and says those things that are prejudicial to the commonwealth of the people in their ordinary use and are therefore forbidden by laws, those things ought not to be permitted to churches in their sacred rites. Here it might look as if Locke is offering verdict or giving verdicts and not taking a normative course. But that's not true, because on a close reading of Locke, one do see the normative concern that preoccupies its attention. Locke problematizes the juxtaposition between religion and politics from normative point of view. Locke points out in this regard that religion is a subject matter of inner conviction of a human person, which is beyond the purview of state's conception of what should count as civil interests. Only corrective means that a state might have at its disposal, according to Locke, is the outward force. Okay? And the religion is generally preoccupied with the inward force. So to quote him, the care of souls cannot belong to the civil magistrate because his power consists only in the outward force. But true and saving religious consists in the inward persuasion of the mind, and such is the nature of the understanding that it cannot be compelled to the belief of anything by outward force, unquote. So it is important to see that there is a sharp distinction that Locke seems to be making, and where he relegates religion to the personal domain and politics to the public domain. Now let us move from Locke to Thomas Hobbes. Locke is slightly milder on the concept of religion, but in comparison to Locke, Hobbes takes a very strong view against religion. Hobbes does not agree with Locke's view and maintains that different religions, if left to themselves to negotiate, might lead to the undesired consequences of the state. Hobbes maintains that individuals have more of variety among themselves than uniformity in terms of their likings, interests, longings, and so on. So individuals already have a lot of variety, and it is difficult to bring that variety under a common platform. So if you now give more importance to religion, it will further contribute to the chaos. According to Hobbes, it stands to our common observation that there is more of differential aspect than the integral one when it comes to human nature. So left to our own natures, there is more likely to be chaos in the midst of human collectivity than any semblance of order. So in such situation, Hobbes envisages that a sovereign state agreed upon by a contract amongst all the subjects could probably be the best way to maintain order. So he says, since there is a lot of variety, and if it's left to themselves, it will lead to chaos, there is a need to come under a contract and then start finding order in that. In such predicament, it would be in best interest of us to mutually agree upon authority of a sovereign state that would be the supreme seat of justice and arbitration, such that personal conflicts are best resolved in favor of an order. So Hobbes views religion as one of the divisive forces in binary equation between natural order and order by mutual agreement. Hobbes firmly believes that religious disputes should be kept away from the arena of politics. He thinks of religion as potentially dangerous to civil peace. He maintains that the sway of religion over masses would be on the decline when people become very scientific and start becoming reasonable. So Hobbes was also equally opposed to the idea of morality based on individual conscience. He believes that if everybody ignores laws and acts in accordance with their own conscience, civil society would dissolve into anarchy. So Hobbes was of the considered opinion that any attempt to control secular matters by religion should be opposed by the state. He further thought that civil wars are often results of ambitions of the priests which they try to achieve by manipulating religious enthusiasm in favor of their own political interest. Notwithstanding, Hobbes believes that free exchange of ideas in a nation state would be conducive to scientific progress, and therefore, unless and until religious views posed a serious threat to the state, free expression of one's opinion on metaphysical issues should be encouraged. Overall, Hobbes is of the opinion that the state should keep the right to adjudicate to itself and not allow religion to interfere with its affairs. And then, unlike Locke, Hobbes will not allow the individual consciences or the private domain to prevail. He would say that private domain or the personal interest are actually a threat to order, and if you allow personal interest, it will lead to chaos. So we have now three important perspectives of the relation between religion and politics. We have got one from Sophocles' play, the Antigone, and then we have a very important relation between religion and politics as available in John Locke, and then we have seen the important views of the relation between religion and politics in Thomas Hobbes. Now let us turn towards Indian scenario to find out what is the relation that is available between religion and politics. Now let us discuss, for instance, the views of Ambedkar and Gandhi. But before we discuss that, what is important to keep in mind, as I mentioned right in the beginning, is dealing with a society like India, which is pluralistic, in relation to the relation between religion and politics, is very, very complex. Because unlike in the West, where there is a semblance of uniformity and there is a more clear notion of order, now we don't have that kind of a thing in a plural society like India. So that is the most important point. It is an asset in one way because it provides us variety. It also provides us a different example. It is also liability because that unless you theorize it very carefully, you are not likely to grasp the clear idea or concepts of this relation between religion and politics in the context of India. Let us begin with Ambedkar. B.R. Ambedkar has presented most of his views of religion and its relation to politics in his famous essay, The Philosophy of Hinduism. Before we discuss Ambedkar's views on religion and politics, it will serve us well to understand his views of religion in the first place. Ambedkar defines religion as, I quote, the propounding of an ideal scheme of divine governance, the aims and objects of which is to make the social order in which men live a moral order. For Ambedkar, religion is mainly a set of moral principles with a specific vision of social collectivity. He points out that any philosophical, political study of religion has to be both descriptive and normative. In other words, it can't be merely descriptive. It can't be merely normative. That it has to be descriptive, and it is from the descriptions of this thing we should evolve or tie the normative principles. So this is one of the important aspects of Ambedkar, is that for him the religion and politics relation has to be both normative as well as descriptive. We can start with the descriptions of religion, how people practice religion, and then slowly we should start thinking about what are the reasons, what is the rationality behind these practices. And then in this process, slowly we will move from descriptive domain to the normative domain. Ambedkar dismisses the idea that religion is not an essential presupposition for any socio-political order. On the contrary, religion, according to him, is a social force that no political thinker can ignore. Religion, according to him, is an institution with immense influence. Another important fact that Ambedkar refers to in his work is that groundwork of any big political change is always prepared by social and religious revolutions that preceded it. So he gives several reasons from the history of India to support how, for instance, religious movements have contributed to the political movements. Further, Ambedkar points out that the religion must be based upon a set of well-reasoned out moral and social principles and not merely a set of rules to be accepted on the basis of faith. So for him, religion is a rational activity. Religion is a rational activity and it involves society and collectivity. That's the most important role or aspects that he sees in religion. So from this point of view, you can see that Ambedkar doesn't accept religion as given, religion as something that we have to just merely follow. He has a very reflective attitude towards religion. His view of religion is more reformistic in nature. Therefore, religion for Ambedkar is not a matter of accepting a set of rules as they are, religion for him is subject to interpretation by people who practice it according to their life situations. As such, one may think of one religion better suited for him than another, and one may not consider all religions on par with each other with respect to the answers they may hold for one's spiritual and socio-political predicaments in life. Ambedkar differs with Gandhi about equal respect to all religions, and then argues that some religion may be better for somebody than the other religion. So there is a variety, there is a difference. So therefore, religion should be accepted not because one is born in a particular religion, rather a person should assume a religious identity based on his or her informed evaluation of that religion along moral, social and political lines. Religion for him is not an objective identity that is pre-given by virtue of one's birth. So Ambedkar seems to have a thoroughgoing unorthodox conception of religion where it is viewed as subservient to personal existential interest on the one hand and socio-political predicaments facing a person or a group of the persons on the other hand. More distinctively, religion is used by Ambedkar as a vehicle of social and political change, of which his mass conversion in 1956 has been long-standing exemplar. Like Ambedkar, Gandhi too saw a close relation between religion and politics. He rejected the demarcation between religion and politics. He said that politics without religion it's like a corpse, it's a dead body. So for him, religion is very, very important in discussing about politics. So let us look at this more carefully in Gandhi. Let us begin by pointing out that Gandhi rejected the demarcation between religion and politics, which is crucial to secularism, both in the West and some discussions of secularism in India. What Gandhi did was that he tried to see a close relation between these two important domains in human being. He found that separating them is to introduce a partition which is false. Okay, and he also thought that it will not work. It is not possible to keep the religious domain of an individual from the political domain. Okay, there is often instances where your religion will enter into political domain and politics will enter into the religious domain. So he was opposed to the separation of religion from politics. So it is in that context he is with people like Ambedkar, also people like V.D. Savarkar, who is the proponent of Hindutva, the right-wing politics of India. Okay. But there is something very interesting about Gandhi's relation between religion and politics. Gandhi thought that politics as it is understood in the mainstream involves violence. It is surrounded by power. It's also has important aspects of oppression. So he thought that there is something that we need to look at it. One way of looking at these undesirable or power relations of politics is to debunk politics and say that I will reject politics. That's one possibility. Gandhi did not take that possibility. At the same time, Gandhi did not accept the present definition or nature of politics that is surrounded by the power relations. What Gandhi did was he took a third path, which is very important. And the third path is that he sought to spiritualize religion. He said that religion can transform politics and make politics less violent, less power related, less oppressive. So this is what he called as spiritualizing politics. So you have politics, and Gandhi thought that you cannot live without politics. At the same time, there is no need to continue the politics in its present form. You can have different notion of politics which is desirable, where all the negative things like the oppression of the state, the power relations of the politics can be reduced or even eliminated. That is one of the important points that surround Gandhi's relation between religion and politics. So Gandhi sought to bring spiritualism into the domain of political. That's why he kept on saying again and again that there is a need to spiritualize politics, so that politics becomes a very desirable and becomes close to the accomplishing the human goals. So we have discussed so far 5 important relations between religion and politics. One that is available in Sophocles' play, The Antigone. Second in John Locke. Third in Thomas Hobbes. And fourth in B.R. Ambedkar. And fifth in M.K. Gandhi. Now let us look at some of the contemporary issues that infringe on the relation between religion and politics. While one might want to keep religion outside the domain of politics, as is undertaken by the modern state, religious views do encroach either directly or indirectly within the domain of politics. Let us take the example like the problem of abortion. Abortion is made available by the advent of medical technology. There are many other things that medical technology has placed in front of us. So the abortion issue is an issue that not only concerns individual choice, it also concerns the religious sanctions. While the state might allow people to go for abortion, now the institutions like religious institutions can prevail over individuals and also can put pressure on the state to not to allow abortion, because it is concerned about the life of another person and it is not sanctioned by the scriptures. Okay, so this is one of the important domains where religion plays a very important role, if not officially, if not directly, but at least unofficially and at least indirectly. So we have to take this into consideration. The other important issue that is made possible by medical technology is use of contraceptives, which is one of the important facility to decrease the population growth. Okay, and that also has a serious problem. For instance, people like Gandhi would not accept something like this, and church also has a very strong view about it. The third important issue is about homosexuality. That's become a serious issue where religion has taken a strong stand earlier, and it's slowly trying to recognize that homosexuality is stand about homosexuality. So you have several issues where religion plays an important role in shaping the political domain. You also have several instances where politics also plays an important role in shaping the religious discourse. Now you find that in the beginning you have the primacy of the political in the Greek period. During Christian era, the religious domain has become more dominant, and with the advent of modernity, again politics started reasserting its primacy and religion has become very defensive. But though it is relegated to the defensive domain, it does play an important role in various ways. So there are, given this defensive and reducing role religion seems to be having these days, we should also remember in this context that there are some important positive aspects of religion. One is religion has been the concern of human being from the beginning. So it is something that is very precious from antiquity. So that is the reason why we may have to relook at religion, notwithstanding the excesses, notwithstanding the problems and limitations surrounded around religion. The other important aspect of religion is religion caters to a psychological requirements of human beings. So that's one of the important thing. Now there is a natural tendency amongst a large number of population to use religion directly or indirectly. So as a set of beliefs which brings people of religious group together, different religions in the world seem to have evolved more naturally than the state. So you find that religion seems to be more natural to human beings than the state. State is more of a artifact. It's constructed by the people, but religion has a larger trajectory, and it is pre-intentional domain of human existence. But it tends to reason that history of ideas could not be the sole basis of all religious judgments to claim to truth. Also, religion may hold psychological value for its adherents, but that should not be viewed as a compensation for understanding logical justification for its belief. So all these things have to be kept in mind while assessing the relation between religion and politics. Thank you.